All right. Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody is doing well. Oh, baby, my camera is a little blurry, huh? Hopefully that'll fix. Let me know if it does not autofocus. We're clear enough. All right. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's Wednesday is going well. We're halfway through the week, folks. Almost there. Almost there. Just got 2 more days. We can make it, I believe. Uh, Hope everybody's evening is going a bit better than mine. Uh, I don't know what happened, but I had some canes. You know, not to shade canes too much, but I had some canes, and boy, did that mess me up. I I don't know what they put in the canes today, but or like maybe they just didn't cook it. But I got some good old I got some extra salmonella or something because man, that cooked my stomach pretty bad. Um, but it is what it is, you know. I feel like I've mostly dealt with that. I'm hoping that that's behind us now. My stomach is still a little sensitive, but I haven't been live for a couple of days, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave y'all alone for too long. I know y'all can't live without me. I know y'all need to see this pretty face, you know. So yeah, so here I am. Little bit of a sensitive stomach, but we'll live. Um, all right. So the plan for today is we have some voting to do. As usual, with the end of the year comes the Game Awards, as well as the Streamer Awards. We'll see how much chug some Pepto. I should, right? I should just have a little bottle of Pepto with like a straw and like a little tiki umbrella or something. Um, but yeah, so we're going to be doing the Game Award voting. I'm gonna vote for my games and whatnot, and then depending on how long that takes, how long I yap through that, because I have been known to yap for things like this for quite a while. We will attempt to also do the Streamer Awards voting um, if we have time. If we don't, then I guess we will do that tomorrow. Um, which also kind of which also is kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a game, you know. Now that we finished Dispatch, I don't know what to play. Like I don't know what game I feel like diving into next. So I almost don't mind if this takes forever because I don't really have a good plan for afterwards. We're definitely gonna have to wing it, you know. Once we get to the end of voting, but uh, we'll see how that goes. I did have the idea that I wanted to possibly do the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake, but I might end up just doing that like maybe on my own time or something like that. Um, as a stream game, while I think it might have some funny moments here and there, it currently I went and looked at it just to see. I think it currently that category that game has like 5 viewers total amongst like a few different streams. So there's a bunch of 1 view streams for that game. So there's not really a whole lot of interest in that one. Um, the only other game that's kind of on my radar is Digimon. I've seen a couple people playing Digimon and whatnot, and it looks fun. And I haven't played a Pokemon Digimon type game in literally, it feels like a decade, if I'm being honest. I think the last Pokemon game that I seriously played, like to completion, was like Black and White or some shit like that, which is like what I don't even know what that was on. That was like on the DS, maybe? Was that on the DS? Like the OG DS, Black and White? It's been ages since I've touched a Pokemon game. Um, I think it's been that long. Well, no, I feel like did I play Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu? I don't remember. But as far as like finishing a game, start to finish Pokemon game, I feel like it might have been all the way down to Black and White or all the way back to Black and White, which is crazy, honestly. Digimon's supposed to be good. Yeah, I hear it's really good. I hear it's actually got a pretty solid story. Um, Hot takes, not really a hot take, I guess, but some people are saying it's better than the Pokemon game that just came out. I forget what that one's called, ZA or something like that. Um, I don't know. Uh, I haven't played either of them, obviously, so I can't really say, but that's just what I've heard. Um, but yeah, Digimon was on my radar, so we'll have to see. We'll see what we want to do. Maybe I'll again, depending on how long the voting stuff takes. Maybe I'll put together like a wheel or marbles instead of a wheel, just something a little more fun and interactive. I might do marbles, and we can just see. We'll let fate just decide whatever our next game is going to be. But yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the voting because I did start very late. I'm a whole hour late off my usual start time, which means that we don't have a really. This isn't going to be a super long stream. It's only going to be like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if I push it. So we really do need to get the voting in if we want to at least even just barely get the game award stuff done. Um, I get the feeling we're not going to make it to streamer awards. And even if we do, I don't know if I want to start it because streamer awards involves watching a lot of clips, and that's going to take forever. That's going to take a while. We might actually even hold off streamer awards to do like a weekend stream or something like that. I don't think I have anything to do this weekend, so maybe I'll go live and we can just do that. But yeah. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. And we're starting at the very bottom. Wait, was my my mic wasn't muted this whole time, right? No, clearly not, because you're responding to me. Okay. So we are starting at the very bottom of the category because for whatever reason, I don't know, Jeff, whoever made your website needs to be slapped on the wrist gently. I don't know why in the order of categories they put Game of the Year first. Let's have some build up, right? Put something else, literally anything else, but put Game of the Year at the dead ass bottom. That should be the last thing I think about, you know? Once I've had the idea of all these categories and options and stuff like that planted in my head, I have to think about Game of the Year, encompassing all of that. I think that's the way it should be. So, anyways, we're starting from the bottom of the list and we're going to go back all the way to the top to hit Game of the Year. And we are starting with something that I know very little about. Unfortunately, I will claim massive full-scale ignorance on this particular category. Best esports team. The only esports teams that I know of are like dead and gone. They are what you call it? Like actually I don't even know. Does TSM even exist? Or wait, does North American LCS, NALCS still exists, obviously, right? I'm assuming we just I don't know. NALCS has always had a rough time globally. But yeah, like I don't know if TSM still exists, C9, all the old guard, I'm assuming they still do, it's just new players or whatever. But yeah, so I kind of don't know any of these teams. I know Mobile Legends Bang Bang is a mobile game. Obviously, it's in the title. Yeah, we're gonna have to just. I almost feel like I should. Hold on, wait, hold on. Here we go. This is how we're gonna decide this because I deadass don't know. Come on. All right, we got Gen G, NRG, Falcons, Liquid, and Vitality. Okay. I will lead with an apology to anybody who is big into esports or who really is a fan of any of these teams in particular. I will tell you that I am sorry if the picker wheel does not go to your particular team. I do apologize for voting against them in a very random fashion. But this is what we're doing because I really don't have a horse in this race, honestly. So we're going. Let's see. And again, this is for best esports team. It's going to the Falcons. For Dota 2. We're going for it. Yeah, next category. What the fuck? Okay, that's gonna be annoying. I guess I'll just have to click out of that. Okay, best esports athlete. Um, let's see. We got Brock, Chuvi, Forsaken, Kakaru, uh, Mena RD. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to go Mena because I know both of these people, so that's already kind of it's gonna be between them. Um, but I do know that Mena fucking cooks. The man is a god. The man is so very good at Street Fighter. It's actually insane. Uh, so we're gonna give it to Mena this year. Change my vote. No, I'm not changing my vote. Okay. Best esports game. Um, I does League almost always de facto take this? Chat. Like, I feel like League is usually so big. I mean, honestly, the wild thing is I can see this mobile game CS2 is bigger than League. You think? The funny thing is I can see a mobile game like Mobile Legends Bang Bang being absolutely ridiculously huge. Like I can see this like in the like China or anything like that. Like because if I remember right, China does mobile games pretty heavily. I can see this being absolutely massive, like in viewership terms of viewership. Um, we're gonna give it to League because I like League. All right. Content creator of the year. Um, I only recently learned of Burnt Peanut, unfortunately. Um, from seeing him play with Tim the Tatman. Uh, I think he's pretty funny. I don't know how robust his content is. I've never heard of Sakura, unfortunately. Um, you could make an argument for Moist Critical for the simple fact that he has such a variety of content. Like he does his YouTube videos where he talks about a plethora of different topics, a bunch of takes. He does movie reviews, uh, and he live streams and like doing games and stuff. Like he actually plays games and stuff like that. Does he do the IRL stuff and all that? I don't think so. So there's a little bit of a drop there, but you can make an argument that he does a lot of content. Like he does a lot of stuff. Like there's a big variety here. Um, same thing for Kai, I think. Kai does a pretty good job. Well, I mean, like he's mostly a streamer, but he does do some crazy shit, you know? I don't know what kind of year Kai has had. I know for a while, like he was gone for a month, like an entire month prior to the Mafiathon. I think, if I remember right. And then they did the Mafiathon, and then I don't know if he's been streaming or not. Like I think he's been MIA, possibly. So I don't know. I feel like if you do like, he always does big streams. The biggest streamer in the world, or like one of the biggest ones, biggest streamer in NA, I think. Um, but or no, in the world, right? Because he beat Ebai's sub record, if I remember right, during the Mafiathon. Yeah. So technically, um, but I don't know if I can give it to someone who's taken like 2 or 3 months out of the year off. You know, like yeah, you do big and whatnot, but he has the money to do big, so that's a factor. And you got other people who are grinding 365 or whatever, and that deserves to be talked about, regardless if their content is a bit smaller in scale because they don't have the funds to do the extravagant shit. That's kind of an irrelevant factor to me. What you're doing through the entire year is a bigger impact, in my opinion. Cage Rule, I'm unfamiliar with his stuff. I know he does a lot of League of Legends content. I think he's like he's like an armchair caster, right? Like he casts. I don't know if he's like an official caster. I don't think so, right? Like he casts games and he comments on games and whatnot throughout the year, throughout like the leagues, like the LCS series and stuff like that. Um, but I don't know if he does anything other than that. For a streamer or content creator who has made an important and positive impact on the community. I feel like we're gonna have to go with Moist for this one. I think that I think that his he has a good variety. He's pretty consistent. He puts out videos like damn near daily or daily. You know, he's he advocates for things that I feel like are usually in a positive direction. So he definitely has a positive impact on his community. I think we got to give it to Moist. Charlie gets it. Most anticipated game. Oh. There's no shot, right? Like this is not a fair category. There's no way that this is a fair. It's like it's just this. This is the only one, right? It's like this, and then several orders of magnitude down. It's got to be like The Witcher. I think I could actually probably order these. I imagine it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's like that. Honestly, deadass. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like, I don't even know if I've heard anyone speak on this game, and I've seen a handful of tweets about this game. So if anything, if we go by that logic, this is 4 and this is 5. But I know people are hype on this one. I think even if people are being weird and shitty about like Siri or whatever, because I heard some discourse about Siri being whatever, like looking weird or something, or like, oh no, people are angry because a female's the main character, not Geralt. Um, but yeah, which actually I don't even know if that's even valid because I never even beat part 3, so I don't even know what happens to Geralt. Like, maybe there's a reason why Siri's the protag. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. As far as anticipation goes, it's gotta be this. And the only argument against this, it would be it's losing anticipation because it continuously keeps getting pushed back. So like people are just kind of like, whatever. Stop not paying attention to it anymore because it's just pushed back constantly, and they're like, fuck it, it'll come out in 2030. We don't need to worry about it anytime soon. But I still think it's this. There was so much, especially with that trailer that came out. Boy, there was so much hype on this game. It's just got to be that. Best adaptation. Okay, so we have some opinions here. That faithful. Oh, wait, hold on. No, faithfully and authentically adapts the video game. That immediately disqualifies this, right? I don't know if y'all have seen this movie. It's not a bad movie. I want to put that out there first, guys. This movie here it's not terrible. It's an okay movie. It's pretty good. It's a solid horror movie. Is it Until Dawn? What the do you know who I am? You tell tell Twitch. Write a angry letter to Dan Clancy. No, send an actual paper letter to Dan Clancy's office that says, "Do you know who I am?" That literally like not even handwritten or anything like that. Like you should just screenshot this message in chat, like crop it out, put it like print it out or whatever, fold it up, write your address, and then send it off. Or like not write your address, write their address. However you send a fucking letter. I don't know how to do that shit anymore. Yeah, anyways. Until Dawn is not it's a good movie. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. Like I said, as a standalone horror movie. But it should not necessarily be called Until Dawn. Do they cherry pick some things from the movies? of or from the game Until Dawn, kind of, but it's not hella faithful at all to the game, which is a kind of it's honestly like for as decent of a movie as it is, it's a little upsetting that it got the Until Dawn title slapped to it because Until Dawn uh was actually a fun game. It had a pretty good story. It was solid as fuck. Like people like Until Dawn, right? That is one of the higher ranked um game like that. Thank you for the resubscription. Thank you for the Prime with your little what is this? Peepo riots. I love that. Um and don't you just wish that well, maybe not. I don't know. I was gonna say, don't you wish that Prime could just be set to auto? But maybe not. Um Last of Us Season 2, I have not seen. I have not seen because I can't be bothered to pay for HBO. If I'm being honest, I can't be bothered to pay for this, specifically just for this show. Um, I know it got some criticism. It's top tier. It's good. Okay. All right. I'll let y'all. There you go. See, thank you. This is exactly what I need. Um, and just a heads up, we got ads starting in 5 minutes. Just to be aware. Oh shit. You'll send me info, bet. Don't let HBO see these chat logs. What should you call it? Okay, so we'll say right now this is in the lead. This is the de facto lead. We're going based off chat. Splinter Cell Deathwatch. I did not even know that there was a Splinter Cell game. Going like not game. What the fuck? What am I saying? Top ramen tier. Yeah, that's I should steal that. Top ramen tier should be the S tier ranking. If I ever do another tier list in my life for anything, it's good. Top ramen tier will be the that's your S plus tier, and then everything beneath that. I did not know Splinter Cell had. It's on Netflix. All right, bet. Now I know what I'm doing this evening. I'm gonna watch some Splinter Cell, and we'll figure this out. And if I have to, I'll dead ass come back here and change my vote if I need to. If it ends up being good, and I'll tell y'all. I'll tell y'all on the next stream or whatever, you know, or whenever I get around to watching it. Don't get splinters on your cell. I'm hoping it's good because back in the day when I was younger, I know a lot of people really sat in the MGS camp. I wasn't in the MGS camp when I was younger. I was in the Splinter Cell camp for stealth games, and Splinter Cell fucked. That was such a fun game. It was so I enjoyed it a lot. So I have there's a little special place in my heart for Splinter Cell, and I'm hoping this is actually really good. But if it's on Netflix, I'm just gonna watch it. I'll check it out. I did watch this. I did see Devil May Cry, and it was okay. This is it's very middle of the road. This one was like a 7, 6.5, 7 out of 10. Like, I'm trying to remember. I think the action was kind of okay. I feel like they could have really went ham with it, but it might have been hamstrung by budget because, you know, good animation ain't cheap, right? So, like, while I think, because considering how combo heavy the game is, like, I think the animation, like, some of the fight scenes could have went bananas, right? They could have went bonkers, but they kind of didn't, which was a little bit of that kind of sucks. Like, I understand, though, because, like, I don't know what kind of budget they had for this, and and things like that can be expensive. All right, we got cat cam Gamba. I see it. Give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and turn on the cat cam. I do need to turn on my lights. Otherwise, I won't be able to see. And then bear with me for just a second. Let me see. I don't think the camera's actually pointed at the bed. I ran into it. I don't know why I left it the way I did for so long, but it was like the little arm that I have the camera on was sticking out over like the edge of my desk, and I kept running into it. And I don't know why I didn't just take the time to like rebend it, because it's one of those bendy ones or whatever. I didn't take the time to just rebend it so I didn't run into it every single time I passed my desk. But I finally got around to doing that. But with that said, I don't know if it's actually pointing at the cat bed right now, so we'll see what it looks like. All right, cat cam activated. It's on. Dim as hell. We do have Mochi Cat in the man. You cannot see anything. Holy. Hey, I'm gonna bring you out a little bit, okay? Whoa. You okay? That scare you? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. Okay, we'll just let you sit there then. I won't move you. Okay, we got Mochi Cat. We'll let Mochi Cat do her thing. I don't know if y'all can really see her or not. I do apologize about that. Man, I need like, I guess I need like a little baby ring light or something to. It's kind of stupid. Like I'm looking at the webcam, and the webcam itself has like lights, but those lights are so worthless. Like they are not bright enough to do literally anything. So it's like, what's the point, right? We saw you scare her. Please don't report me to PETA or whatever. But yeah. All right. Anyways, the Minecraft movie. I have no idea how faithful or authentically this adapted to the video game. I didn't even know that there was storyline. Uh, womp womp. That's my daughter. The Minecraft movie. I have no idea anything about this. It looked. I'm clearly not its target audience. I think I outage its target audience by like at least 25 years, maybe more. Um, so I'm going to pretend like this one doesn't exist, if I'm being honest. Okay. So this was a good movie. This is like a 7.5 out of 10. We don't know. This is like a 6.5 to a 7. So that means that Last of Us kind of just takes it. All right, so we're going Last of Us there. Oh, we got ads in progress. I'm going to move to the next category, and then we will hang out and wait for just a bit. I do apologize. I do apologize about scaring Miss Mochi, but she gets extra pets now. So, man, I feel like Mochi might be because she's like solid gray mostly. Like I feel like she's the hardest to pick up on camera. Like the other cats are black and white, and I guess maybe the like them having like white big white patches and like their underbellies being white makes them easier to see. But yeah, it also might just be because the preview that I have is exceptionally small, so I can't really tell what y'all can see. It looks pretty dim and just like a black, not a black, but like a gray blob. But hopefully y'all can tell what's going on there. All right, we got 10 more seconds on the ads. And oh, okay, we're back. Okay. All right, so what is this? Best multiplayer. For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. Um, okay. So, I think best multiplayer. Okay, so for sure, ooh, this is a tight group. Holy moly, this is a tight group. Um, okay, so we know Arc Raiders is doing exceptionally well. People really, really, really like this game. For it being an extraction shooter, a genre that's kind of been dominated by like Tarkov for like ever. Uh, I know Arc Raiders is doing exceptionally well. It's exceedingly popular right now. My only qualm about picking Arc Raiders is Arc Raiders came out like a couple of weeks ago or something like that a couple days, not days, like maybe just a handful of weeks ago, um, or a month ago or so. It came out fairly recently, and so I am a little afraid of like a recency bias kind of a thing. Like, you know, it was popping off recently; it's fresh in everyone's mind. But also the thing that really more than that, it's like I don't know what its staying power is. You know, kind of the same thing with Battlefield. I actually feel like Battlefield's already starting to kind of fall off. Like it was really popping for a little bit, and I feel like it's kind of fallen off rapidly. It didn't help that Black Ops came out, and then immediately after that we got Arc Raiders as well, and Arc Raiders is kind of doo-dooing on both Black Ops and Battlefield. That's not to say they aren't, doing well, but they definitely aren't like blowing things out of the water. Um, Elden Ring Night Rain. So Elden Ring Night Rain, I think is I don't know if it ever got to the heights of these games, just because of the nature of its like the reach of its audience. I mean, Dark Souls and Souls-like games are a really huge kind of genre at this point. I think like even like regular like non like sweaty gamers are aware of the Dark Souls type stuff and maybe have even dabbled in it. Um, and I feel like it's still, it doesn't really get talked about a whole lot anymore. This might have also fallen off. I feel like Peak might have actually peaked higher than Elden Ring Night Rain, and it might actually have a more larger concurrent number of players than Night Rain. Um, this one's going to be a hard one. I'm looking at this. It might actually just be this Split Fiction. These games, Split Fiction, It Takes Two, A Way Out, like all the games from Hazelight, they slap. They have such good stories. They usually have pretty well written to exceptionally written characters. They usually do a good job of weaving in sometimes a little bit of social commentary without it taking over the story and being like ham-fisted or like obnoxious in any way, and whatnot. Usually, and the gameplay is almost always really fun, and it's so fun because it's a variety of gameplay. Like within this singular game, you'll have an ARPG, an FPS, a third person shooter, a fucking fighting game, and then a platformer, and then a puzzle game, and then you'll go back to having like a real time. You'll have like a real time strategy game where it's like StarCraft or something like that. It's just got everything, and like I said, they're usually exceedingly well received. But I will say this, unlike these games, all of these games are ongoing games. And this game is not. This has a story that you finish and then you just never play it again, really. Um, I think I think it's got to go to Split Fiction. I think Split Fiction and Peak of this list might have had the most players at their respective peaks, but I think I want to say Split Fiction is just it's just because of the nature of its variety and whatnot, and the nature of its gameplay, and how well received these games usually are. I feel like we got to give it to Split Fiction, honestly, in my opinion. Okay, sports slash racing games. I don't have a horse in this race. Um, let's see. Okay, I'll have to go off of what I've seen. Uh, I don't know about these, at all. I know people liked Mario Kart World and were having fun with it. I think this is a sleeper pick, honestly. From what I saw from a handful of content creators, um, this game was surprisingly just as fun, if not more fun in certain instances, than Mario Kart World. But I don't think it ever hit the heights because everyone and their mother knows Mario Kart, you know, so it's like it's kind of hard to win when you're in the same genre as Mario Kart, because Mario Kart is just Mario Kart. You know, it's kind of like having a first person shooter and being and then like going up against Call of Duty like in a year or whatever. Like in any given year, it's rough because it has a fan base. It has an established, well established for literal decades of fans. Rematch I feel like had its moment and then it kind of disappeared a little bit. Um, I know people were really grinding this game and really having fun with it. It looked fun. I also wanted to play this, um, but I never really pulled the trigger on it. I think I'm just gonna give it to Mario Kart for this one. It's just, it's kind of like a ubiquitous, like this is, this game. Everyone knows this game. Everyone, a vast majority of people have probably played it, and as far as I know, it was pretty good. I think some people had some gripes with it, but it wasn't like, you know, this is the worst game ever made type thing. So I think it still, even with its issues and potential flaws, I think it still takes it over the other ones. Sim slash strategy game. Um, okay. The only game that I've played on this one is 2 Point Museum. 2 Point Museum is very fun. It's a fun little time sink that will just randomly suck away 30 hours of your life. You know? Um it's not strategy game irrespective of platform. Uh it's I don't feel like it's not anything like super giga special. It's just a really solid game. It's pretty fun. It's got fun dialogue, it's quirky, it's funny. It keeps you engaged enough to keep playing it. So that one is pretty good. Like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8. I have not played this. I have not played this. I've played Civilization in the past, but I don't know anything about this particular iteration of Civ. Um, Jurassic World Evolution. I feel like I played the first one, and the first one was pretty cool, but I never finished it. So, and I don't know. I've never played this one. I feel like this might be a little bit of a hot take, if I'm being honest. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I feel like this. Uh, I almost feel like it's unfair because everyone loves this game. This game is a darling. This is Final Fantasy Tactics is one of the most beloved games in the Final Fantasy series, like by a long shot. It's up there. It's in people's top, like top. So, but at the same time, this is a remaster or like a remake, right? Like this game came out like 30 years ago. It had its day 30 years ago. And just because the story is an exceptional story, I feel like it's almost not fair. Like it's almost like a robbery to these ones that are like, unless there's some other remakes or whatever here, but like this game when it first came out, it proved itself and has already had its accolades and its praises and people have been singing its praises for like I said like 20 30 years. I feel like it doesn't need to be winning more awards for you know, graphical updates and like VO, right? Like, did they massively overhaul the entire combat system, change everything? Is there like extensive bonus scenes that weren't in the original story that now expand upon things that you can play through that adds literal hours and hours and hours of gameplay that makes it feel like a fresh, brand new game? Because if it doesn't have that, then I can't I feel like I can't, in good conscience, say be like, yeah, here we go. Let's just give this thing its award because we know it's good. Like we've known it's good, right? So I feel like that's kind of not fair. Um, with that said, I'm gonna vote 2 Point Museum because it's the only one I've played out of the remaining four. Since we're gonna ignore this one, um, so let's go ahead and give it to that. Then we can go ahead and move on. Best family game. Well, ooh. Um, I feel like it's not going to be a racing game. Uh, Lego Voyagers, I don't really know anything about. Lego Party. Lego Party seems like it's been pretty good. Family game, best game appropriate for family play, irrespective. Okay. Um, I think it's just gonna be Donkey Kong Bonanza, right? I feel like Donkey Kong Bonanza actually was like exceedingly well received. Supposedly, this is a very good game. It's fun, and the story was actually pretty decent, which is like surprising because it's like I didn't know Donkey Kong games really had a story like that, but apparently the story is pretty good. I feel like this game, while being family appropriate, I guess I kind of don't really know what that means. Is it just like the like clean humor and stuff like that? Like, because when I think family appropriate, I think of things for like younger children, like people like 13 and under, or like 12 and under, you know? And while this game, no, wait, don't they cuss in this game and stuff like that? Like the only like it's family appropriate in the sense that like I guess you don't like murder and mutilate things, and you're not like banging, you're not fucking things left and right, you know, or each other. So I guess, but I thought they cussed and stuff in this game. Also, I feel like the topic, the entire overarching message of this game, which is if I remember right, I think it's something like AI is bad and stop stealing artists' fucking ideas to, just pump out slop, which is, valid and true. Uh, I feel like that kind of goes over the head of a lot of younger audiences. Like younger audiences probably don't really care all that much about that. I'm gonna say Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best fighting game. Okay, so I don't. This is another category that I don't have a horse in. I will say though, with this said, I did happen to catch Maximilian Dude, Max Dude. Shout out to Max Dude. Everyone knows who that man is. Um, I did see his take on a few of these things. I know he had some gripes about, which is kind of similar to what I was saying about the Final Fantasy Tactics, the Evilise Chronicles. This, whoops, this as well as this is a collection of games from 10, 20, 30 years ago that have all already had their time in the sun. You know, they've all already had their time. They've had their praises, they've had their gripes, they've had their criticisms, they've possibly won awards. I don't know, really. You know, whatever. Been nominated, this, that, and the other. I feel like that's not fair to the rest of these things. Um, this one also feels a little weird because this is an early access beta game. This game isn't even out yet. Not fully fleshed out. It doesn't have its full roster yet, or like a big roster. I don't think. I think it's pretty good, but I also haven't really been hearing a whole lot about it. I and hmm, I was gonna say something, but it kind of feels like not fair because of what it is. I was gonna say it doesn't. None of these feel like, except for Fatal Fury. I don't think I've heard much about Virtual Fighter. But I do remember hearing and seeing Fatal Fury on people, like seeing people play it and hearing about it for a good while. I think I'm probably going to give it to Fatal Fury, but the thing I was going to say is almost none of these picks feel like Street Fighter 6, but Street Fighter is Street Fighter, and that's like the biggest. What the hell is this shit? Xbox. Bro, get out of here. I'm trying to vote. It's like, hey, you want to see these games? I'm like, bro, I'm voting on the games right this second. Leave me alone. Um, Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, none of them feel like Street Fighter, but that's not fair to any of these other games because I feel like Street Fighter is just the biggest, like that one and Tekken, right, are like the biggest names in the fighting space by like a long shot. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and say that uh the collections are null and void to me. This one doesn't make sense because it's not fully released yet. When this is fully released, if it makes it back into this fighting game best fighting category, then I will give it its time and its due diligence at that point. But for now, I feel like that's not fair to everything else. Um, I don't really know anything about Virtual Fighter, so we're gonna go Fatal Fury here. Um, Also because the character is it Preacha or something like that? Preacha. There's a Muay Thai character that is cool as fuck, in my opinion. I am a fan of kick heavy characters like that. Um, Best RPG. Oh. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Um, I haven't heard anything about Outer Wilds. I haven't. Should you be on the dispatch category? Oh fuck. Wait, hold on. Oh shit. My bad. I did not. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I did not realize that I was still on that category. Only 50 minutes into the stream. Okay. Yeah, you know what's funny is I updated my category on TikTok, which I hope I'm in the right category here, honestly. Um, on TikTok, there's not a just chatting category, at least not that I found. So I put myself under chit chat. I found a chit chat category, and I don't know if chit chat is just talking or if there's a game, a literal game called chit chat, not chit chat. So I hope I'm in the right category on TikTok. I very easily could just be in a game, a particular game category, like if there is a game called chit chat, and not really know it. So yeah, then yep, it is what it is. Well, if anything, what I'll do is after this, I'll go to the TikTok website and or like on desktop and see if I can figure out like the categories or whatever. But yeah. Anyways, haven't heard much about Outer Worlds. I know the first one. I beat the first one. The first one was pretty good. It just feel if I mean, it's pretty good. It feels like you're like a like a Fallout, something like that. It was fun. Avowed was okay. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is about Avowed, but like it didn't grab me enough to finish it. I'll say that. Chit Chat is a party game? Fuck. Oh, wait, hold on. I did it. I found it. Topic is supposed to be chat and interview. I was under there's so on I just learned it. On TikTok, there is a uh, there's a category and then there's like a subcategory. So I was under gaming, and then under gaming I found chit chat, and I thought that was like just chatting or whatever, but it's not. Okay, so now I'm under chat and interview, and there are no subtopics. They're called topics apparently. There are no subtopics to this, so I think I'm in the right spot now. All right. Sorry to everyone on TikTok if you thought that you were going to see chit chat the party game. I was in the wrong topic. We're on chat interview now. Jesus. All right. Anyways, moving on. Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's actually another game that we. Oh shit! You know what? Maybe once I'm done voting and doing all this stuff, we'll reinstall Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and see if we can finish that game. I'm assuming we can pick up right where we left off because it's a cloud save on Steam. I think. So we could do that because this game wasn't bad. You know, it was actually this game was very good. It's exceedingly fun. I love these games. But then you have this. Like, I know nothing about Monster Hunter Wilds, but I will say that I do think that this is probably the bottom one. Then it's this. Then it's Avowed. No, it's got to be of it's this Avowed. This I would imagine. I do think I like Outer Worlds better than Avowed. Like even just the first one. Um, and then it's going to be this one. in second place, and I feel like this second place is actually pretty solidly above everyone else. And then you have Claire Expedition or Claire Obscure being significantly higher on the tier list than even this. So like this one is already blowing all these other ones out of the water by a pretty long shot, if I'm being honest, in my opinion. And then you just have Claire Obscure blowing this thing out of the water by a long shot, by like literal miles. It's crazy. This game, this is your generational game. I would not be. I'm assuming as we get into more like different categories or whatever of actual games, um, would not be surprised if we just see a bunch of these Clair Obscures. This is going to be, and people might cry about it because it's literally like, well, why is Clair Obscure winning everything? That's not fair. Sorry, it's just one of these things where it's just a generational game. It happens. It happened in, was it 2005 or maybe 2006, depending on how the years work or whatever, or when it released. But I think it released in 2005. It's like what's it called? Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. I think it tied, also Titanic, I guess too, technically, because I think Lord of the Rings: Return of the King tied Titanic for the most Academy Award wins ever, and or maybe it beat it by like one, or something like that. Like I think Titanic might have got 11 and they got 12 or something like that, or 12 and 13. Um, but it's gonna be like that. It's just gonna be one of those years where it's like, damn, someone came in and they just really made a generational fucking game, or in that case, a generational ass movie. Like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. That's like one of the best movies ever created. Period. Like it is just so exceptionally good, and it was recognized as such. It swept the awards. Like it fucking got everything. And that's how I feel about Player Obscure. People might not like it because maybe Player Obscure wasn't up their particular alley, but if you're being objective, the game did a lot right, and there's a reason why people love this game. So I do think that this might, to the annoyance of some, be the Claire Obscure Awards this particular year. Which, damn, you know, I don't know. And this came from a little indie dev studio, so I'm sure these other games were like, we got it on lock. We're really cooking this year. And then the Clair Obscure devs came in. They're like, let me show y'all how to really fucking cook, and they did. They cooked. Action adventure. Okay, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Um, I'm gonna give this to Indiana Jones. I think, and it's purely because I feel like this is a dark horse and it deserves its recognition. You know, this game kind of came out of nowhere for me, at least. It wasn't necessarily on my radar too heavily at all, and I was playing it. I initially went into it as like, this is gonna be some corny game and it's just gonna be whatever, and we'll make fun of it. Haha, it'll be great. And then I played it, and yeah, it was funny, but it wasn't super corny. It was pretty. It had a decent story. Troy Baker did an amazing job mimicking or becoming Harrison Ford vocally for the voice or whatever. The gameplay was fun. It had good action, had good puzzles. Story was pretty solid. Characters were likable. It was a good game. It turned out to be, from what I thought was going to be like a joke, haha, let's poke a whole lot of fun at it and kind of shit on it a little bit. It turned into being like one of the better games I played this year. So there you go. Um, do I think it's gonna win? I don't think so. I think Silk Song. I think Silk Song takes this category, if I'm being honest. Which also makes me feel better, even a little bit, about voting for this, because I think this is just gonna be so heavily favored that my vote won't really matter. But I want to give Indiana. I want to give Indy its due. Give it its flowers. So we're gonna vote with Indy there, because I do think this is, of this game, when people look at this page, at this particular page, best action adventure, this is everyone's dead ass last one. But I think it deserves its recognition for what it is. So we're gonna go with that, even though I'm aware that the other games are exceptionally strong. Best action game. Okay. Um, I don't. Let's see. I kind of didn't hear a lot about Doom: The Dark Ages. Doom Eternal came out, and Doom Eternal, I feel like popped the fuck off. But that was a decent while ago. I remember a lot of people playing it and playing it for a good while too. I remember seeing Shroud playing it, which was really fun to watch because it's such a high like APM game. Like the gameplay on Doom games these days is so frantic. You're constantly moving, you're flying through the air constantly, you're ducking, you're diving, you're going through portals and whatnot, all while non-stop shooting enemies, like swarms of enemies. So, but with that said, like I said, I haven't heard anything about the Dark Ages one. Like, so I don't know if it's kind of like same, if they did anything different, better, more fun. Um, Battlefield, I've already spoken on this. I feel like it was like, yay, Battlefield, and then it kind of, and it's kind of just meandered down a little bit. So I don't know if I can, in good faith, be like, yeah, this one. Um, I don't know anything about these. I don't know. Is Ninja Gaiden 4 a remake, or is that a new entry in the Ninja Gaiden series? I don't really know about that one. The thing I do know is that Hades is an exceedingly fun game, and so we're gonna go with Hades for this one. Yeah. Ooh, Here's one I don't have any. The VR slash. Okay, for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. Whoosh. Alien Rogue Incursion, Arcan Age, Ghost Town, Marvel's Deadpool VR. I still have. Here it is. Okay, we're we're bringing back the wheel. Uh, Alien. Whoops. What did I? Age. Ghost. Pool. And the Midnight Walk. Okay, I will say this. Since I don't really have a horse in this race because I've never played any of these, I feel like I've at least heard of people talking about Midnight Walk. So I do want to give a little bit of weight to this one almost. Maybe I should put in a second Midnight Walk entry if we're going to be spinning a wheel, you know? Maybe that'll be a good idea. I have not heard a single thing about this, or this, or this, or this. So with that said, I'm going to add another one. We're doing 2 walks. All right, walk has a slightly higher chance of winning, but we are gonna RNG this one. Here, let me put that one in the center of the screen for the TikTok folks. There you go, and walk got it. All right, bet. Ooh, best mobile game. Persona 5 is on mobile? Well, it's got to be Uma, right? It just has to be Uma by like a long shot, right? Like, it just has to be Uma. Like, I've heard of Wuthering Waves. This is just kind of like a Genshin type game, right? It's an anime RPG, open world, uh, fighter thing. Uh, Persona I know has a good following and stuff like that, but I don't know how many people play Persona on mobile. Like, do people play? I feel like people play Persona on like, if you're playing Persona, you're either sitting at your desk on your computer or you're on the sofa with a PlayStation or like a Switch or something like that, right? Like, you're not fucking on the. I mean, maybe you're on the bus playing Persona 5, the Phantom X, on the way to work or school or something, but I feel like if you're really gaming Persona or you want to game Persona, you're on a console or something. I don't know if that really counts. Unless this is a mobile only game. I don't know. I feel like this is a port. This is a mobile port of a desktop game or something, or an actual console game. Destiny Rising. I have no idea what this is. I think we're going Uma because Uma for a while there, a couple months back, for a good while, Uma was like, damn, this is a cultural phenomenon. It started with like what Northern Lion, I think, and then it just exploded from there. Uh, so and everyone was playing it, or and if they didn't play it, like not just playing it, but like so you had a bunch of people playing it, and then of all those people playing it, I feel like a solid like 50-60% played it for a long time as well. It wasn't just like a one and done stream. It was like, all right, we're playing this game and we're still playing it. Or if it was a one and done stream, you would hear them talking about it. Like it would be like 4, 5, 6 streams later, and your streamer would be like, they're doing their just chatting a little bit, catching up with everybody before they start gaming, and they would mention Uma. They're still playing Uma, they're just not doing it online. They're still playing Uma on their phone. They're still playing game in Uma, like they in stream pull up Uma and like another person's stream or something like that. Like they do their thing. So I think we go Uma Musume. W Horse Girls for sure. Best debut indie game. Wow. Wow. Wow, no, that's not fair at all, dude. This is not fair at all. Oh my god. The best debut game created by a new independent studio. This is not fair. This is not fair, man. Dispatch. This game, this game just came out, and you know what? No, I'm getting a little lost in the sauce here because I was gonna say Claire Obscure or whatever. Maybe I'm not. It's so hard. This is really hard because like things like so I don't really know anything about this game, so I'm going to kind of disregard it. Sorry for people who are extreme or not extreme fans, they're just fans of this game or whatever. I do apologize, but I'm this one was not anywhere on my radar and I have not touched it. I have played a little bit of Blueprints. It's pretty fun. Um, but Dispatch was for being a Telltale game where the gameplay is fairly rudimentary and whatnot, and is just kind of a management sim. It was so fun. Like even the rudimentary gameplay was fun. It was engaging. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was cool, and it was hard. It was a little bit difficult to manage everything correctly. And then the characters were exceptional. The story was good. It was well written. It was funny as hell. You know. But then you have Claire and Claire Obscure. I'm gonna try and dissociate gameplay because obviously Claire Obscure has the edge in gameplay because of what it is. It's significantly more engaging, and you have an open world to navigate and whatnot. You have all the gestural beaches, so you have like puzzles and platforming. Um, it's got to be Claire. Like my heart wants to give it to Dispatch, but if I'm following like best debut indie game, it's gonna be Claire. Claire overall is just the better game. It's got a lot more going for it. The characters are just as well written. They are they have their own motivations. They're sad. They're funny. They're engaging. They play well off of each other and whatnot. Um, yeah, there's a whole range of emotions and things like that are exhibited by the characters in Claire Obscure that just aren't broached in Dispatch. So, as much as my heart wants to give it to Dispatch, I think it just has to be Claire. There's just no other way. Best independent game. For outstanding creative or technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. Um, it's gonna be Claire again, I think. I mean, there's an argument to be made for Silksong, honestly, because if I remember right, Team Cherry is an insanely small studio. Like they're like 3 or 4 people or something like that. It's insanely small studio for Team Cherry. And but they've made Hollow Knight and Silksong. And while I haven't played Silksong, I am assuming it is at bare minimum at least of the same quality as the original Hollow Knight, which the original Hollow Knight is very fun. It's got good atmosphere, you know, got good gameplay, good boss fights. It's a good game. Dependent game. I will say Ball Pit is very fun. I played it a lot actually. I have not played Absalom. I hear that one's pretty decent. Blueprints is okay in my opinion. It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's annoying because it's hard to not sound like a E33 shill, you know? It's so hard to not just be like to like dick ride E33, but when E33 has the biggest dick you've ever seen, you just gotta ride it, you know? Uh it's got a 33 incher. It's crazy. Uh Jesus, oh my god. Oh my god, I was immediately punished for that one. Oh god. Ah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, wow. I was immediately punished by something flying into my nose. Uh or like irritating the back of my throat. Um Independent game. Outstanding creative and tech, yeah, it's got to be E33. It's kind of annoying because this is pretty subjective, but what this game is it's creative as fuck. The idea of a painted world where and it's they created lore for two separate worlds effectively. They created lore and everything for a world that existed within the painting. But then there's also a whole expanded world outside the painting, you know? Who are the painters? How many painters are there? What's the war with the writers like? Do the writers have powers? What are their powers? You know? There's a whole bunch of questions and just there's just a lot. I'm sorry, man. This is rough. This is rough because like I said, it's so hard to not sound like a shill. But the game is just damn good. It's just damn good. Best community support. Outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates slash patches. Uh, I feel like it's got to be Fortnite, right? I kind of don't know what Baldur's Gate 3 has been doing. Like the last thing I heard, and it was months ago. I guess it was this year. Was they added like a bunch of mod support? So there's that. No Man's Sky has been in a good spot for a good while. I imagine they roll out updates fairly regularly. Helldivers 2, I think is kind of the same thing. I think Helldivers kind of like obviously Helldivers, the trajectory of Helldivers was like up, peak. And it held peak for a little bit. Yeah, yeah. And then it kind of went downhill and people were kind of like pissed off about it or like not happy with it. It was not in a good spot for a little bit there. At least that's what the sentiment felt like. So kind of low. Oh no. And it kind of meandered and it's been like slowly tracking up, but I feel like it's been on a more exponential uptick lately. But I think it's got to just go to Fortnite. I feel like you know, you may not be the biggest fan of Fortnite or whatever, yada yada yada, but you can't deny that they are constantly adding tons of things to the game. The map's constantly changing. They're constantly adding and shuffling and readjusting weapons. They're constantly adding new characters, new skins. Well, I guess skins, not characters. And whatnot of just varying cultural relevancy. Like there's just so much in Fortnite and so much that is still constantly being added that I feel like it's hard to win against Fortnite, honestly. Best ongoing. And you know what? Let me go ahead and put my foot in my mouth because here is the one that's actually honestly, you know what? Honestly, it's this over Fortnite. And it's because Marvel Rivals, it's because they've just been pumping out content. This game's content release cadence is actually obscene. They're pumping out characters, and it's because they have a solid backlog of IPs or like characters or whatever to just pull from, you know? They probably have like a 50-gallon drum with like folded names of just various Marvel heroes, and they just periodically just once every other month or whatever their release cadence is because it's so insane. They just dig their hand through the papers in the 50-gallon barrel and they go Gambit, and they add Gambit to the damn game. You know, like so, like I said, like Fortnite, they do a good job of regularly adding things and whatnot, and so that's why I gave it to them for the other thing. But I feel like Rivals adds just as much stuff, and I feel like I actually don't know what the content release cadence is for Fortnite. I don't know how long seasons last for Fortnite and how often they're adding things or whatever. But this game is it's barely even a year old. It's not even a year old, right? Didn't it release last year in December? So it's like barely even a year old or not even a year old yet, and they're on what season 5 or something already. They've had 5 seasons within a year. They've added like 8 or 9, maybe even 10 characters since then or something like that. Like they've added so much to this game. We're going with that just because Fortnite has a bigger volume overall because it's been around longer. But boy, they're racing to catch up. The way they release stuff, man. Games for Impact. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Hmm. Well then, I kind of don't know what to do for this one. Consume Me, Despolette, uh, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, South of Midnight, Wanderstop. I think I'm gonna have to kind of default here a little bit. We're gonna default to South of Midnight because I've at least one heard of the game. Well, oh no, Wanderstop. I've heard of this game too. This game, this is a game about depression, if I remember right. I think this character here is depressed in some way. And so she goes out to the countryside. And I think she starts working with or for this guy who has like a coffee shop maybe or something like that. I feel like it's something like that. And it's to kind of coach you through how to get out of being depressed or being in a slump or whatever. I think. If I remember right, I think it's that. Um I don't know I don't know necessarily what South of Midnight pushes sort of agenda wise for its impact. I do know that it's a celebration of Southern African American folk culture and stuff like that, and like folklore and whatnot. Um, it's set in the South, and it centers around like just kind of like Sinners, the movie Sinners. It's kind of like that, like um what is it like? They don't call them vampires; they call them like haints or something like that. Is it something? It's something like that. Like so, I know I kind of know of this one. I have an idea. I just can't really articulate it very well. So I know that this is kind of an homage to that stuff. This, I think, I'm 90% sure this is a game about depression and how it affects you and how to handle it. Maybe not how to handle it, but it's a game about a character that's going through a rough time, you know. And I'm sure that there's a bunch of uplifting messaging and stuff like that in this game. I don't know anything about these games, sadly. So unfortunately, and I know it's not fair to these games. So anyone who has played these games and really likes them, let me know. You can vouch for them. I'll listen. I'll listen to opinions regarding these games, but I have not touched these games. So I know it's a bit unfair to these games, but I am going to be ignoring them because I don't have any info on these. I at least know about this game and what its premise is and the subject matter of this game for the most part, I think. And same with this one. Um, I think we're gonna go with Wanderstop. I think that if I am correct, if I remember right, this game is about depression and possibly loneliness and stuff like that. I feel like that's such a universal and important topic to discuss. We need to be able to discuss loneliness and like depression and stuff like that. Those two things are things that are probably so much more prominent in our society for individuals in our society than we could ever even imagine, honestly. I feel like people hide that very well sometimes with what they're dealing with and what they're struggling with. And so a game that's willing to broach those subjects and do what it can to talk about them is important, I feel like. I feel like that's a very good thing to highlight and to help people get through that. So we're gonna give it to that, Wanderstop. Uh Innovation in accessibility. Learn about the nominees. Oh god. Oh, holy essay. Jesus Christ. Most successful game to date? Uh okay. We're not gonna we're not gonna read the essay. Do apologize. We're not gonna read the essay. We're gonna wing it here. Um the only you know what? I don't know anything about these. I have heard that Doom had a ton of accessibility options and whatnot. So that's cool, but I don't know what they were or whatever. I just know it had a lot of accessibility options. But if these other ones are in this category, then I would assume they also had a pretty solid range, right, of accessibility options. So I'd have to like, unless one of these did some really innovative thing to stand out. But then again, I wouldn't know about it because I haven't played any of these games, unfortunately. So we are going to go back to our good friend the picker wheel. Um, and we're going to update our options here. Wait, how many do we have? We have 5. Get rid of 1. Okay, we have uh assassins. We have Atomfall. We have Doom. What was the other one? What is this? FIFA? FC. What is FC? Football club? We got FC and we got Midnight, right? Okay. All right, spinning the wheel. All right, R and Jesus. Who has the best accessibility? The Lord has spoken. All right, we're going this one. Oh. Wow. Bro. Wait, hold on. Hmm. I'll be honest. As much of a Expedition 33 fanboy as I am, uh, you know, I'm not even really a fanboy. It's like I'm willing to acknowledge that the game was exceptional. Oh, let's see, Gustav's in the game for like what? Well, I guess it depends on your open world exploration level or whatever, like how much you do that. But he's in the game for like what, at minimum like 3 hours, 3 maybe 4 hours total. If you were to like speed run it, not, I mean, I guess if you were to speed run it, it'd be much shorter than that. But like, he did do a really good job though. You know, because the character went through a lot, and it was all believable. We went through the character being somber and sad because it was the day of the Gamage. We went through him being even worse than that and despairing and almost killing himself in the before he meets Lune. Uh, he could be compassionate still, and you know, uh, communicate with Mael and stuff like that. I Yeah, you know what? Sure, why not? I was thinking like who else could take it, but I also don't really know what other games uh honestly like would be up here. Like what people from other games. I mean, I guess you could make an argument for literally any of the dispatch characters. Um Aaron Paul. Honestly, Aaron Paul could have made this right here. Aaron Paul easily could have been there for being Robert Robertson the third. That was a fun character, and that character had a ton of dialogue, and it had he made funny quips. He made somber remarks. He made motivational speeches. You know, there was some range there. There was some range. Um, Unfortunately, I haven't played Ghost of Yote. Uh, I I really this seeing so many noms for Ghost of Yote makes me really want to get my desk sorted out and to I'm so the wall over here to my was left. It's just an empty wall. And I do want to still put I want to put shelving up here. Like kind of move stuff off my desk because I and y'all are gonna make fun of me for this and you're gonna call me stupid and tell me it's a waste of money because it kind of is or has been. But I have an Elgato capture card that I intended on using because I do have a PS5. It just sits in the bedroom and I never use it, sadly. Um, so I do need to, or I want to grab the PS5, dust it off, clean it up, bring it over here to the desk, and hook up the Elgato to it, so I can do games like Ghost of Yote and whatnot. Because I haven't played that game because it's not on Steam. At least I don't think it is. I think it's a PlayStation only game for probably a year, and then it'll come to Steam, and it'll probably have a spike, and I'll stream it. I'll stream it once it's on Steam. Unless I get the PlayStation set up. But yeah. Um, Jennifer English cooked. She was my L for those of y'all that don't know. Konatsu Kato. I'm curious, is this the did she do the English dub or is this the Japanese dub? But either way, have I heard both? I've seen this game played. I didn't play it myself, but I've seen enough. I've seen basically the whole game. I don't know what voice language that she's for, but I do know. I'm assuming she voices the main character, Hinako. Uh, they did a good job. I want to say, the character goes through a lot, and it's very emotional and just demanding because it's so much. It's terror and sadness all the way through from start to finish. Uh, Troy Baker as Indiana. I'm. This is not a dig in any way, shape, or form. This is not a dig at all. Troy Baker did an exceptional job. He sounds, in certain instances, throughout the entirety, not certain instances, for the most part, throughout the entirety of the game, at times more so and at times less so, he sounds so much like Harrison Ford. It's fucking scary. It's crazy how well he was able to mimic Harrison's voice to play the part of Indy. The only stone I'll cast, which isn't really a stone. I mean, we shouldn't call it a stone, right? Because I feel like that implies malice or something almost. The criticism, I guess, that I'll levy there is, while the mimicry was exceptional, it was such a good, like, holy shit, I'm listening to Harrison Ford. Oh wait, that's not Harrison Ford. But despite that, the game and what was demanded of the character um throughout the game, like range wise, emotionality wise, wasn't a whole lot. Indy's Indy. He's kind of just he doesn't really have a whole lot of tons of emotions or whatever. I feel like the most emotional thing I've seen of Indiana Jones was when Sean Connery as his dad in The Last Crusade was dying or whatever, and he was like freaking out or whatever. That Yeah, because for the most part, Indiana Jones is a cool character, right? He's cool. He's rugged. He just like his range is normal speaking to slightly shouting and like talking shit, and then being slightly somber or whatever, or like kind or like a little flirty or whatever with like Marion or one of the love interests for the movies. But that range is like this. It's not a lot. Um, I think I'm gonna give it to Ben Starr. So Ben Starr, again, for those of y'all that don't know or are not aware, Ben was the voice of Verso in Expedition 33, and I think that while Jennifer English also gave the performance of a lifetime as Mael, the thing that really, in my mind, cinches it for Ben is Verso goes through so much, and I feel like he was really tested as an actor with believability and just the acting ability range, especially if you when you choose the all right, spoilers, all right, spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, then give me like 30 seconds. Count to 30 in your head, and I should hopefully be done, and you can start counting now. Okay, Ben Starr. The performance or piece that's really stands out in my mind is if you choose the Mael ending, and after you beat him and he falls over and he's just begging. He's begging to die. Unpay me. Help me. Like, it's so jarring and gut wrenching and heart wrenching. It's awful. It's awful to listen to and watch. It's so terrible. You know? Like, there was that made me feel so ugly. That performance. And that's crazy. The way he, for those few seconds, just commanded the attention of the viewer of the experience. That's insane. That was insane. So we're going Ben there. For as much as Mael did do during that game, and she does have ups and downs and a lot of range as well, that that performance will haunt me, honestly. I don't like thinking about it. Okay. Best audio design. In-game audio and sound design. Um, hmm. In-game audio and sound design. Okay, I'm trying to remember. I need to reflect back. Okay. We have it's just gonna be Claire again. And I'm a little sad about that because I am torn. I think the runner up, honestly, I actually don't know. I do think Claire takes it, but it might not actually be by as much. For what Claire is doing to the other games in some of the other categories and just mollywopping the shit out of everybody. In this particular category, I don't know if it's head and shoulders above the rest. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it might edge out some of the other ones, but this is actually because I can see I can picture in my mind Death Stranding 2 having some crazy audio and whatnot. Um I haven't played Ghosts of Yote, but I've played plenty of Ghost of Tsushima despite the fact that I haven't beat it yet. And that game is pretty good. It's got good, you know, it's got good ambiance. It's got good gusting wind. You got rustling leaves, birds chirping here and there. Sometimes you see a fox or you hear a deer and whatnot. You got the good clopping of the hooves as you ride your horse through the countryside. You know, um, maybe the only gripe is like sometimes when the Mongolians are shouting to each other, they kind of sound like they're on megaphones and not necessarily like a actual live person. And I feel like that's kind of a gameplay concession because if you couldn't hear them like calling out that they've seen you, then you would just be annoyed when you're like, because you can't hear him because like realistically maybe a building's blocking him so you don't hear it as well or something like that. Like you would be so livid as the player if you aren't aware that you've been seen, and so you're just like sneaking around through the grass, Pink Panther music playing in your fucking mind, and then 12 Mongolian assholes just come fucking flying around the corner. They're like, oh, no, 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 they fucking kill you. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? So I can kind of see why they would do that, where it's like, it almost sounds like they're on a megaphone whenever they like see you and you can kind of hear them from wherever you are, no matter what. Um, I would assume that it's roughly the same in this game as well. I think Silent Hill F has exceptional sound design. I think it has great ambiance. It's weird because it's like Silent Hill F and a horror game uses like negative space, kind of, right? Like it's like sometimes the absence of the ambiance where it just kind of goes dead silent that really sells the anxiety and the stress and the fear part of it. And but then you also have just like like the creaking of the monsters, the joints, the mannequins, like creaking against themselves as they clamber after you. You have the squelching, gross noises of like the vines, like the weird blood vines, like in the real world, or like the gross, like booby monster, whatever that thing was that like that spawns extra enemies and stuff like that. You have the like squelching noises and stuff. Um, But if I'm being honest, as I said that stuff, you kind of have the same stuff here. No, you don't. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember because like the gestuals are effectively kind of like mannequins, right? But I don't remember if they have that same kind of creaking wood on wood rubbing kind of uh groaning quality to them, or if they have any kind of movement like noise that they make. Like I'm trying to remember like fighting Golgra and stuff like that. Like did she have any audio? But with that said, Claire, because it's inside of a fantastical painted world, you have so much. You have audio and ambiance from like beaches. You have audio and ambiance from snow-capped, dusty areas. You have audio and ambiance from underwater areas. You know, from like at the second place you go to is underwater technically or whatever. There's whales and shit swimming in the sky. You can hear the whales as well. They groan and they make whale noises. I'm gonna give it to E33. I know that's boring or whatever, but I think that it is. I but I think it's close. I think if E33 does win this particular category, I guess we'll never really know unless like Jeff just decides to tell us. But I think it's close, close. I think it's close, close. This is a hard one because the majority of the sounds that come from Battlefield, like, it's just gunshots and explosions constantly, right? It's kind of hard for there to be ambiance. Like, you don't get like if you're on an urban map, like, do you hear the wind gusting between the buildings? Do you see like a newspaper flying in the wind? Do you get all of that plus the explosions? I feel like that's not the case. I feel like you don't really get much other ambient audio, and if you do, it's so hard to hear because all you hear, either close or far or whatever, is you know, reloading, fucking off. That's all you hear for the entirety of the game. And I feel like the only other time you don't hear that is when you're respawning and running back to the area where all the shooting is happening, and then at that point, the only thing you hear is clop, 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 clop as you like run back to the fight. Like, is the audio good? Probably, yeah. And you know, it's probably good. I would assume it's good. I haven't played enough to know if the audio is bad or good. In the sense from a gameplay perspective, because you know, people wear headphones for a reason. It's so you can hear that motherfucker clomping up on you from, you know, back left or back right and stuff like that. Like, so I don't really know, but I don't know about this one. I think I don't really know about this one, if I'm being honest. I think Silent Hill F has really good, like, this is A tier ambiance and just sound design and whatnot, for what it is. I would imagine that Ghost of Yotei is either on par or maybe slightly better than Silent Hill F because it might have a larger variety potentially. I don't know what how the story goes. I don't know what landscapes and environments you progress through for that game, but I do know that Expedition 33 has a variety of environments and they do them all pretty well. They do them all not pretty well. They do them all very well. There's a lot of good audio in this game. There's a lot of just sounds and things that kind of really draw you in and just make it believable or real, despite the fact that it's fantastical. It is a purely fantastical world, right? I think it barely wins though. I think these three games, maybe. I feel like this one's last, sadly. No shade to Battlefield, but you know it is what it is. It's a war game. It's got shooting and explosions, right? I almost feel, and again, not really disrespecting, not really trying to disrespect Battlefield, but I feel like you could put almost any shooter here and achieve the same, roughly the same result, right? Like, are there some shooters that have really dog shit audio from like a positional standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint, and they you can't really tell who's running up on you and when and where? Sure, but yeah, I feel like for the most part you can switch this out with Black Ops. Was it 7, 6, 7, whatever came out? Arc Raiders maybe. Although with Arc Raiders, I heard that they use a lot of AI, so maybe not. I feel like that's very undermining to the people that are the sound engineers. Okay. All right, moving on. Best score and music. E33, and it's not even fucking close. Actually, I don't even know. Let me No, you know what? Fuck it. I'm standing 10 toes and saying it with my chest. It's E33 and it's not even fucking close. You know, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. This is the one time I will say that I'm shilling and shilling hard. E33 has some of the best game music I feel like that has ever been laid down on a track. Like, it's crazy. Um, I kind of don't know how Silk Song's music goes. I'm trying to think how Hollow Knight sounds. And I feel like that's a hard one. It's really, really hard because I feel like most of the time there isn't music in Hollow Knight, at least the first one. You don't have any music except for like boss fights, maybe? I feel like it's usually just dead quiet ambiance. It's just the sounds of the level, you know? Like if you're in the area where there's like acidy water, you kind of have the bubbling kind of like squelchy noise uh and whatnot. Um when you walk through, well, like this is a soundtrack, right? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like there's no ambient music or anything playing, and then the only time music plays is during boss fights maybe, and that's kind of detrimental in the sense of I can't pay attention to it. If I'm in a boss fight, I'm not paying attention to the music. Sorry. Um the same thing with Hades. I actually don't remember. I've only played very little of Hades 2, and I don't really remember Hades 1 when the music kicks in and where and whatnot. Oh wait, yeah, it's kind of I feel like it's just gonna be Expedition 33. There's so many like you have Lumiere, it's the that fucking you have the Lumiere song, which can easily be played on loop. Um, you have what is it? Uh, Unavi, Unavi Autumere, Unavi Autumere, whatever. I butchered that. I'm sure I butchered that. Someone who speaks French, feel free to correct me and give me the correct pronunciation. But that song, that song alone would almost carry. That song is crazy how emotional it is, especially when you know the context of it. Um, and that it's sung as a it's sung in a duet, you know, but it's not a harmonizing duet. It's a conflicting, it's a dissonant duet. They sing at each other, overlapping vocals that are different, you know? And there's points where they're like screaming. It's not even really belting. It's like screaming, like impassioned screaming that barely holds its sing-songy tonality or whatever to it to make it still sound like a song. But they're just screaming at each other because it's supposed to embody the the fighting between Renoir and the mother, Aline, Aline, and it's so impassioned that it, at least for me, and knowing the context of it, that they're just screaming at each other on how to deal with the death of their child. It just draws emotion from me. That is such an emotional, powerful piece. It's insane. And then you also have the fun things like the Monoko OST and whatnot. Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design. Um, hmm, artistic design and anime. Ooh, this one's hard. This one's hard because of how subjective it is. This This makes it difficult because I have seen complaints and whatnot that Clair Obscur is very UE5 acidy or whatever. It has a very UE5 look to it, which sure, okay. But if we're talking about creative, it's kind of hard to get more creative than having the crazy, ridiculous world you have. Like, if you think about all the character designs, you know, of the like the all the enemy designs, you have even Minoko himself. You have the flying serpent that was in the sky that had like a fucking like a buoy or like a lighthouse as its head. Yet strong. The idea of the Paintress, that whole battle where you fight the Omega Lol version of Aline and then you fly on SKA's back. SKA himself is also an interesting character design. And then you fight the big tall Paintress version of Aline. It's just a lot. The like so from a creative standpoint, so here's my thought process, right? From a creative standpoint, I feel like almost no game on here except for maybe Death Standing because Kojima's fucking crazy and he just has the most wildest outlandish ideas. These whoops. I try to draw like as if I'm on paint or something, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Clair Obscur and Death Stranding both have exceptionally creative direction. I think Death Stranding might edge out Clair Obscur from a technicality standpoint because I don't think this is a UE5. This might be a custom engine from Kojima and Sony. I don't know what engine this is running on, and I don't. It doesn't look as UE5y as this. Um, I feel like it's hard for me to judge this. I can only judge from my preconceptions, and this is set in Japan, in northern Japan. And so I feel like the creative bit, it's there in it's gonna be carried a lot from the character designs and the enemy designs. Like, you know, the uh landscape and all that stuff, that stuff's gonna be it's not that it's like ugly or whatever. I'm sure the first game was gorgeous. It was absolutely stunning. Um, but I think I give it a slight notch down on creativity because you can't really be giga creative with a game that's set in the real world, you know? Because then it stops being a real world game and it turns into like this weird fantasy or whatever. But like it's hard, like because a forest is a forest, a mountain's a mountain, kind of a thing. You can make your mountain look gorgeous and stunning, and maybe have really crazy detail and stuff like that. Same thing with your forests, but so from a creative standpoint, all the creativity is going to be in like the outfit design and all the cosmetics and stuff like that, which probably do look cool. Um, oh, I guess the animations too. You know what? Damn, I didn't see this bit. Animation. Um, I think creative also goes to this as well. I think the character designs, the designs of the gods and stuff like that that you get your powers from and you engage with and talk with, and like even just I forgot what this character's name is. Even her design, like that's such a cool design. It looked great, right? Like interesting costume. It's kind of busy in the middle, but like it's still like I don't know, it's just an eye-catching design. The two different colored eyes, the lipstick, like it's just an eye-catching design. Even if it is a little busy here, but that's fine for the most part. Yeah. Um, Hollow Knight Silk Song. I think if anything, Hollow Knight probably gets more benefit from the technical side than the creative side because I feel like Hollow Knight's animations and everything like that are very smooth. They're very fluid. They look really nice. And the designs are cool, but they're all based on bugs, right? And I guess they might have some creative leeway there a little bit, but like a beetle is a beetle and a spider is a spider. You can kind of tell pretty quickly because of like the number of eyes and stuff like that. So there's not like I mean they do get pretty creative. This is so subjective, it's actually insane. This is hard. Um we're gonna have to give it to Claire though, honestly. And that's it's because of it as a whole. I'm gonna say it again, and I feel like a broken record at this point, but for what this game is and what it does and has you do, traversing over the variety of environments that it does and whatnot, and it does all those environments pretty fucking well and whatnot. Like, yeah, sure, maybe you can give it a knock for the technical thing because it's a UE5 game or whatever, if you want to gripe about that. But like, you can't take away from the fact that like it has you going everywhere into all these fantastical places and it does them all pretty well. Like the underwater place was fucking crazy and you fought enemies that had like little undersea mines as balloons and that's just kooky. Like it's just but it looked cool and everything like that. And then you like the axons, you went to the face mask area and you fought masks and the masks had different varieties and you fought enemies that hid behind masks and stuff like that. And so that's like, it's a premise and a theme. And so that whole everything in that zone looked and felt thematically the way it did thematically for what that boss is supposed to represent. And same thing with the other axon, the dancing singing one, you know? And all of that area was like very fluid and flowy and fabricy and that's, it all made sense. It was very cohesive. Okay, best narrative. We don't even really need to talk about it. Um, I feel like Silent Hill F is actually a close second. Maybe. Actually, I don't know. Again, I really need to play these games. Okay. I played this game partway through, but I did a lot. I'm being honest. I did a ton of side questing. So much side questing that I kind of didn't really get very far into the main story. I think I got to and maybe just barely finished like the wedding, the bit where you're trying to meet like the lord of the first city that you got robbed outside of and you can't get into or whatever. Like I did not get very far in the game. So I don't know how the story really fleshes out with like Sir Hans and all that stuff. Um and the wars that are going on. Um I do know Silent Hill F has a pretty good story. Um it's interesting, you know. Bit of spoilers for Silent Hill F, so if you want to plug your ears or hang out for a bit for a couple minutes, then go ahead and do that. Just letting y'all know. But yeah, the story kind of covers it covers a young girl's reluctance to end up in a abusive relationship like her mother did. Um and like her I think sister did or like it just kind of seems like that's the fate of every woman in her little town is to just be joined to uh a man that does not treat them or see them as equals or what or is just like actually just dead ass abusive and whatnot. uh and so she's trying her best to not go down that route and so you kind of have that playing as like your overarching theme or she's not trying her best. She's just trying to navigate that, and like all of this is manifesting from her fear and anxiety and reluctance and anger and hatred towards that type of fate for herself and whatnot. And so it really is the story of her trying to find her way and whatnot. And obviously, your choices. There's multiple endings in a Silent Hill game, so your choices kind of really determine how or whether or not she does find a way out of that, or ends up in, you know, right? It ends up accepting that fate and whatnot. So that's a pretty good story with a lot of commentary on things that I guess young women go through or like see, or like expectations for them and whatnot. So that's got very. It's a good story and it has very solid real world tie-ins, you know. But then so does this because this is a story overall overarching. This is a story about a family and their inability to deal with grief and the eventual. There's two endings, right? The eventual resolution to that grief, the eventual coming to the conclusion that it's not okay to hold on to this and we need to move on and like heal, or alternatively, succumbing to it and you know succumbing to effectively addiction in a gambit to stave off the grief. It's a very powerful message. Best game direction, creative vision, and innovation in game direction and design. It's gonna be this. It's just gonna be this. This game starts with you trying to save a world that's unfamiliar and alien, and it evolves into an evocative, gripping story about a family, again, about a family who cannot deal with the loss of their child and how it's torn them apart, you know? And to go from playing through and having your objective be we need to save this world to oh my god, this world is a drug and it's tearing this family apart. How do we grapple with that? The way this story is fed to you and the way it evolves over time is absolutely peak. It is. That word gets thrown around so much for everything under the sun that is even a little bit cool. Even just the tiniest bit cool, people will be like, "That's peak. This is peak cinema and peak." Those words get thrown around quite a bit, but I am full confident and will dig my heels in and die on this hill that this game lives up to the word, lives up to the sentiment in almost every way, shape, or form. Peak cinema, whatever you want to say, this is it. And there we go. What do we have on this? Oh wow. Damn, Hades made it up here? You know, I feel so much guilt because I know Hades is an exceptional game. The first one was exceedingly fun. And I'm sure Hades, maybe we should play Hades, honestly. Yeah, we should just play these games. You know what? I think the next game we play will either be, well, I guess we can maybe take a vote. Mm, maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe, we'll see. I'll be honest. I'm still on the fence about Hollow Knight. I kind of don't know how I feel. I feel like while I can appreciate the game and for what it is and how the fun potential of that game and whatnot, I do feel like the majority of its gameplay is not necessarily up my alley for what I overall enjoy. The backtracking, the navigating, the platforming and stuff like that, like it's good and it can be fun or whatever. But I'm not sure that that's like I'm really jonesing to traverse back and forth and be lost for 3 or 4 hours trying to figure out how to expand the map and whatnot. Like I don't know. I don't know if I've lost that as I've gotten older and younger me liked to explore a whole lot more and like just really flesh out like every like look through every nook and cranny of a world. I don't know if I've lost that or when I kind of lost that, but that's a lot of what Hollow Knight is. It really is just looking back and forth and going places, check your map, and where like looks like there's a opening to another tile over here, so let's go explore that. Okay, wait, I can't do that. This needs some sort of key or like an ability that I haven't unlocked yet. All right, let's look at the map again. Okay, there looks like there's openings to two tiles over this way, so let's go that way. Oh, that's an elevator, and we can't fucking access this elevator from this angle. We need to go all the way around up the same height as the elevator into the zone the elevator would have taken us in, because it turns out this is a shortcut and we can only access the elevator from the top or whatever. And so, things like that where I'm like it's fun, but there's a level of tedium for me specifically. This is me, I'm speaking from my own perspective here. There's a tiny bit of tedium that kind of eats at it a little bit, It eats a little bit at the experience for me. And as time goes on, it's taking bigger and bigger, or like it's just eating, right? So the fun is shrinking overall. And it feels really bad because I can understand and comprehend and respect the game for what it is, and when it is fun, like when I'm full enjoying it and the tedium isn't there, i.e. boss fights and stuff like that, I'm cooking with that game. That game is so fucking fun. Like fighting the Mantis Council, fighting like that one uh bug boss that I fought for like 2 hours or some shit like that. Like, yeah, I guess they're all bugs, but like the boss fights and stuff like that, fun as hell. The fighting combat, like enemies in the zones, it's a little more. There's a bit of a range there because like some of it isn't fun necessarily. It's tedious because it's like, and honestly, it kind of I have the same gripes sort of out of like a Dark Souls game or whatever. Like shit like Anor Londo, when you get to Anor Londo in Dark Souls 1 and you're having to try and walk on like the ledges and like the tiny little ramps and whatnot, while you have like four different enemies just shooting massive big AoE impact arrows at you and whatnot. Like it's a bit tedious. It's difficult and it's so insanely punishing, you know? But that might be a good like a get good angle. Maybe that's a get good angle, and I'm just kind of like being a bitter bitch about it. Um but it's how I feel. So it is what it is. Uh you know, I feel like I need to get it. Okay, there's a few things we need to do. I think one, I might not return to Hollow Knight. Just transparency there. Two, I need to take the temperature of the chat. I don't know what the consensus is. Do we want to second? Do we want to try and finish Resident Evil 7? Because we started that game for Halloween and we're like 5 or 6 hours into that game. I don't know how long that game is, but I don't know if we care to try and finish it, or if maybe we just pick it back up next Halloween. Um, we could also jump back into Kingdom Come Deliverance, or alternatively, as a long plan, we could do Death Stranding 1 and 2. Since Death Stranding 2 has apparently been good enough. Unless this is just like Kojima, dick riding a little bit. But for Death Stranding 2 to be up here on the Game of the Year nominations, that must mean it's pretty solid. It's got to be fun. It must have a good story. It's got to have good, art direct. It's got to have all the categories that we've just gone through. Surely, if a game is up here, it has high scores and high marks in all of those. And if that's the case, then that sounds like it's worth playing. So I'm thinking we might do a picker wheel for that in the very near future, possibly at the end of tomorrow's stream. Um, on this list though, it's just Clair Obscur. I'm sorry, guys. It's just Clair Obscur. This is the year of Clair Obscur. You know, it is what it is. That's just, oof, yeah. Um, I'm surprised at DK Bonanza. I did not realize that this game had that kind of clout or following or whatever, you know? I didn't realize that this game was so big like that, that people really cared like that, you know? Um, that's crazy, actually. Like, it makes me curious. I almost want to just, because I don't have a Switch or anything like that, so I'm not going to play it. But it makes me wonder what the story, how the story is and whatnot, for it to have landed up here, right? Because like it can't just be like an arcade game of Donkey Kong with the small child and breaking rocks or whatever, right? Like so, it's got to have some kind of story. The story's got to be good for it to be up here. But yeah, all right, folks, that is it. That's our votes. Um, votes cast. We did it. That's everything. We voted on every single one of these. Download your vote card. Uh, where are my downloads? Okay, downloaded the. Oh, hold on, what is that? What does this look like? Downloads. There we go. This feels bad. Look at this. Game of the year, Clair Obscur. Best game direction, Clair Obscur. Best narrative, Clair Obscur. Best art direction, Clair Obscur. Score and music, Clair Obscur. Audio design, Clair Obscur. Best performance, Ben Starr for Clair Obscur. Innovation and accessibility, we randomly spun this because I don't have a good idea of the games in this category. So we randomly spun this. It landed on EA Sports FC 26. Games for Impact. We came up with Wanderstop, and that's because I'm fairly certain that it has to do with depression and possibly loneliness and stuff like that. And I think that that is good and important to talk about and discuss, and games that highlight that and the struggles and the necessity to talk about that stuff, I think is a good thing. So we gave it to Wanderstop. Best ongoing, we're giving that to Marvel Rivals because this game has not even really been out for a full year, and they've gone through 5 seasons, added fucking like 10, 12 characters to the roster. Like they're constantly putting out stuff. Constantly. Best community support, we went with Fortnite. Um, because while this is currently insane for the year that it's been out, Fortnite has been consistently kind of doing the same thing. Maybe not at the exact same cadence, which is why I give it to this for ongoing because of the cadence at which they're doing this stuff. But Fortnite has been good for a long time, and it just continues to be good. So we're giving it to that. Best independent game, Clair Obscur. Best debut indie game, Clair Obscur. Honestly, this is a rough one for this studio because damn, how do you beat this? This was your first game. You debuted Clair freaking Obscur. That's nutty. That's so insane. So that's crazy. Best mobile game, Umu Musume, because that felt like a cultural moment for a couple months there where everyone was just fucking playing that game. Uh, this one we randomly spun. We landed on the Midnight Walk with a little bit of a weighted spin towards Midnight Walk because I have heard of it and seen a little bit of the gameplay. Best action game is Hades 2 because Hades is just fun as fuck. Best action adventure game, we're giving it to the dark horse Indiana Jones. Luckily, thank God, Clair Obscur was not in this category. uh, But Indiana Jones, for what it is and what it was, it turned out to be so fun. The performance is good, the characters were likable and funny, the story was fun and engaging, the gameplay was also fun and engaging, the puzzles were good. They weren't tediously difficult and needlessly like brain racking, but they also weren't baby gaga poop dumb idiot stuff. I don't know where I was going with that fucking sentence, but you know what I mean? Um, best RPG, Claire Obscure. Best fighting game. This unfortunate category had two collections of games that are like 20, 30 years old, which I feel like is not fair to we're voting for shit from 2025. I don't care if the collection came out in 2025. The collection isn't the games, and the games themselves came out decades ago. I'm sorry, that's invalid to me. It also had 2XKO, which, while that game might be fantastic and fun and popular, I think it's in beta right now or something like that, which I feel like isn't fair to games that have full released and they're just kind of in their live service moment and they're being supported and played. So Fatal Fury gets it. Best Family Game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. This game was also nominated for Game of the Year, so clearly it is an exceptional game. And I think it is an exceptional game that is accessible to people of all ages. You know, it's going to be very fun and engaging and colorful and goofy for your small children. And like I said earlier when I was picking my Game of the Year nom, since this made it to Game of the Year, this game must have an underlying story that is actually pretty fucking good. So this is kind of a game for everybody. You know, your kids are gonna have fun with it and be goofy. Um, the older you get, the more you lean into the story aspect of it. And I'm assuming again, this is an assumption that the story is actually pretty solid, like surprisingly so for a Donkey Kong game. Whoops, sorry. Best sim and strategy. This one I kind of just went with what I've played. Two Point Museum I think is exceptionally fun. It's goofy, it's silly, it's engaging. It is a great way to just randomly burn out like 10, 15 hours, 20 hours of your time just randomly. Like you'll boot it up and you'll start doing museum stuff, like laying down exhibits and like trying to figure things out and whatnot because there are certain like unlockables throughout the game. And then suddenly 6 hours have passed and you're just like, what the fuck? It's nighttime? It's one of those type of games. And when a game does that, I feel like that's just a sign of a good game. You know? If a game can completely make you lose track of time, like utterly, that's a solid game. That pulled you in. You have to give it its credit. You just have to. Best sports and racing game, we're giving that to Mario Kart World because I feel like it was such an anticipated game, and Mario Kart is such a big IP that people play, that thousands and thousands and thousands of people play, that it's kind of hard to not go with it. Best multiplayer. This one was actually kind of a tight race. I don't remember everything that was in the category, but I know it, you know it, we all fucking know it. The games that Hazelight puts out, those games, those little encapsulated story games, for the 1 to 2 months after those games come out, they dominate. They dominate so hard. Not just the streaming space. I'm assuming they also just dominate the regular normal people space as well because the games are just because how much the streamers are playing it, people are watching it, and they're gonna want to play it too. That's kind of just how it works, you know, re-advertising. But yeah, I think when a game from Hazelight comes out, Split Fiction, like I said, or It Takes Two, or A Way Out, or whatever, and people really get into it and be like, "Oh, this game's great." It really does propagate for like 2 months or so until people really just start beating it because it's a story game that has a finish, right? Um, for those 1 to 2 months or maybe a little tiny bit longer, it cooks. It just dominates the streaming sphere, the streaming space for that 2 months. You know, everyone is playing it from your two viewer Andes like me, one viewer Andy, all the way up to your like fucking like Summit or someone who's got like 10, 20K like agent or something like that. Like they're all the way up to them. They're playing this shit too. Um Okay, best adaptation. This was chat voted. This was chat voted. This wasn't me necessarily. I do know that The Last of Us, at least the first season, was pretty quality. You know, people can have their complaints about the actors and the actresses, whatever. But story wise, I feel like it was relatively faithful, I think. And yeah, it was pretty good. It's just a good, decent show. Um, the other things on the list were like Devil May Cry animation, which I don't think was it was good, but I don't think it was exceptional. You um, I think the Undead Until Dawn movie was on there, and the Until Dawn movie again it's a good horror movie, but it's not Until Dawn. If we're being honest, it's just not Until Dawn. It's a good standalone horror movie that should have been called literally anything else, honestly. Um, so kind of Last of Us takes it really there, and again, that's I would have spun that. I would have it would have just been an RNG vote, honestly. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't have. I think even without chat telling me, I think that the that Last of Us from the other games that were in that category, or not games, the other shows, because this is about shows best adaptation, they would have lost to the Last of Us. Because like I said, what was in there? Devil May Cry. It was good, but not exceptional. Um, I hadn't seen the Splinter Cell cartoon, so I need to watch that. Um, Until Dawn again was good. It was a good horror movie, but it wasn't Until Dawn. It just wasn't. And that's it's actually kind of a mind-blowing thing. Like Until Dawn is such a beloved game. People love that game. It's a fun game. It's got a good story. It's got fun, annoying characters. It's got characters that you want to engage with, you know? I don't know why they didn't just make Until Dawn. Why didn't you just make Until Dawn? It would have cooked. That would have sold a lot. If it was faithful and whatnot, boy, they would have got it. It would have been such a good they would have printed money for them for the studio, but instead they decided to be like, let's chop it up and bastardize it. And they came out, like I said, it's still a good horror movie, but it's not Until Dawn, and since it's not faithful, it simply cannot win best adaptation. So kind of de facto, it just defaulted to The Last of Us, honestly. Most anticipated game, there were some good games in this category, like The Witcher 4, which I'm sure is very anticipated, but who are we kidding, right? Who are we joking with right now, right? Everyone and their mother, everyone and their grandmother, everyone and everyone in their entire ancestry is waiting for Grand Theft Auto. You know? The only knock against Grand Theft Auto is the fact that it keeps getting delayed, and that's kind of probably killing enthusiasm for the game. Because people were like, oh, it's coming out like early next, not early, like what was it, like March or not March, like May or some shit like that, right? It was the initial time frame, for GTA, and people were like frothing at the mouth, like, oh, we get it in May. That's not that far away or whatever. Fuck yeah! And then it got pushed back to like October or something, and then or like later, and people were like, "Oh, I'm still kind of a little frothing at the mouth." And then it got pushed back again, I think, just recently. And now people are like, we'll see you in 3030. We got you. Content creator, we're giving it to Moist Critical. There were other big content creators like Kai and whatnot in this category, but while Kai Kai does it big. I will never take that away from Kai. Kai does it big, and he does big well, you know. But to me, that's not an end all be all. Kai doing it big, but also taking literal multiple months off of the year to just not streaming and whatnot is a huge knock. Especially when you have other content creators who they don't have the funds to do it big like Kai. Kai's a massive. He's the biggest streamer in the world. He has the money and the funds and the connections and all that good stuff to do it big like that. It's not fair to judge the other content creators as far as scale goes, right? Like other content creators just simply don't have the capacity and the logistics to do like a mafia-thon type thing, with all those guests and having LeBron cut your hair and shit like that. But That doesn't mean that they're not putting out good content, and that doesn't mean that they're not constantly putting out content. And that is kind of why Charlie grabs it for me. The dude puts out YouTube videos like damn near daily. He covers a huge range of topics, you know? He's constantly talking about this, that, and the other, and does movie reviews and all sorts of stuff. And he plays games. And he voice acts. He was in Dispatch, you know? Like, there's just he does such a wide variety of content. He's consistent and constant. He's always on my YouTube homepage with a new video. Always, you know? So yeah, that is what it is. I think at least for this year and from who was presented to me, I think he clinches it. Esport game, I don't really fuck with esports all that much. Like it's not super interesting. It hasn't been interesting to me in a long time. It was much more interesting to me when I was a big League of Legends player, you know, because I was invested. But I haven't played. Damn, I haven't touched Summoner's Rift in probably a decade. I haven't played ARAM in a couple, maybe a year, maybe a bit over a year since I've last played an ARAM game. So I'm very removed, but League of Legends will always have a place in my heart because for a while there that was just the game. I will I will I will always have a place in my heart for League of Legends. It was fun. And who knows, maybe I'll go back to it at some point. I do think at some point next year, maybe, I would like to potentially do a league challenge. Maybe the next I'll need to pay attention because I don't even know when the seasons start and whatnot. But maybe once next season starts, I'll probably wait a month because I think if you play ranked at season start, I think you have brain damage or you're a masochist. Because that is the only time, or not the only time, but that is the highest probability, or like that is the time where there's the highest variance in your teammates and the enemy team. Uh, because when the season starts or whatever, you get the people who you could have, you know, the people on your team that are destined for fucking challenger, or you can RNG the people that are destined to be like fucking plastic six or whatever their lowest rank is. You know, you don't know. Everyone's doing placements, right? It's like the worst. That's like peak suffering if you want to do it at that point. I feel like that's peak suffering and peak masochism to try and climb the ladder at that like the second the season starts. Because like I said, you truly have no idea who you're getting. You can have plastic six jungler, you can have a challenger mid laner, you could have fucking silver 2 and a gold 1 bot lane or something like that, and your top lane might be plastic 2, you know? And so, is the one challenger good enough to carry all these other people and yourself? Because I don't know what I'm destined for. To victory? Or is it just gonna be suffering and then people are gonna get pissy and flame? Who knows? I feel like that but with that said, I do think at some point next year I would like to do a climb, like a challenge, maybe. I don't think I ever made it out of gold. So what's after gold? Plat? Maybe I'll try and get do a plat challenge and we'll just see how long it takes. If it takes months, then it takes months, but we'll try and do a plat challenge maybe. Um or maybe we'll give ourselves a time limit. We can do like 2 weeks. We can do like 2 weeks and we'll see what rank we can get. And if we climb to plat, then maybe we'll do something special. We'll do like a special, like a marathon stream, a celebration stream or something. You know? Something like that for League. Because, like I said, League, well, it was a big part of my life way back in the day. And I think it would be fun to try and return to it and just kind of have some fun with it for a little bit. I think that could be cool. Best esports athlete, we're giving it to Mena RD. If I'm being fully transparent and honest, it's mostly because Mena, I'm very familiar with Mena. And so we are giving it to Mena because the man just cooks. He's a Street Fighter savant. The dude is good. You know, we can't take that away from him. The dude is fucking good. So we're giving it to Mena. Uh, Also because of the esports type things or whatever, I really like watching Street Fighter. I'm not super good at Street Fighter. I think I got to high gold, maybe a little beyond that. I don't even remember the rankings. But I love watching high level Street Fighter. Like and being I'm sure this is something everyone does, right? I love watching high level Street Fighter and being like, I could definitely do this shit. I could do this shit, surely. And then you go in there and you can't even do like the combo trials or whatever. That I feel like that's the peak FCG or FGC uh experience. You watch Mena or like Angry Bird or Punk or something like that. You watch them cook or whatever. You watch them absolutely cook on stage or in a big tourney, and you're like, that's so cool. And at the same time, in the back of your head, you're like, I can do this shit. I know I can fucking pull that off. And then you go in there and you cannot even do you spend like 4 hours and you cannot even do the combo trials. I feel like that's peak fighting game experience. um, but anyways, yeah. So we picked for esports athlete. We picked Mena RD. Esports team. I did not have a horse in this race. Full transparency. I spun a wheel. We spun the picker wheel. It landed on Team Falcons. I don't even know. Oh, this was Dota. I remember. I remember. Memory hasn't gone yet. Not that old. What you call it? This was a Dota team and Team Falcons. We RNG'd it. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna scroll up slowly. Whoops. This is our card. Feel free to take it in. I feel guilty about the top of this card because it is just all Clair Obscure, but you know it is what it is. All right, everybody. That that is going to do it for today. That is our Game Awards voting done. I highly encourage y'all to go ahead and head over to the Game Awards website. And, you know, you agree or disagree maybe with all of my picks, by all means, vote for your things and maybe let me know. Come back and let me know. Let me know what y'all think. You know, did y'all agree with these? Did y'all vote differently? And whatnot on any of these particular things or categories or whatever, and we'll see. And there you go. Here it is right here. Here's your reminder. December 11th. Everybody remember, watch on December 11th to see who actually wins this stuff. I think it's no surprise or whatever. It's just, it is what it is, but I feel like it's just going to be a Clair. It's going to be an E33 sweep. This is kind of a not a once in a lifetime event. Well, maybe. This is kind of a once in a lifetime event. At least it's weird because it's happened twice in my lifetime, so to speak, but for two different things. The first time it happened within my lifetime was for movies, and that's for Lord of the Rings. The Return of the King demolished the Academy Awards, right? If I remember, like I said, it got like 12, 13 awards. It hit, I think it tied Titanic for like the record and whatnot. And I don't think anything has really come close since then. I haven't really been paying attention because it's not something I'm super interested in. But I know for Lord of the Rings because I was Lord of the Rings is in my opinion, is one of the best movies ever made, or the best movie ever made. So it is what it is. I'm talking about Return of the King, the third one. And I was very invested in it, so of course I have random trivial knowledge of that. But now I'm kind of experiencing the same thing again, but it's going to be with Clair Obscure, and this is for gaming now. So different medium, but I think this is one of those times where it's just like, damn, someone just cooked so hard that they're just gonna sweep, and you can't really do anything about it other than just be like, good job, amazing. You can only give them their flowers. You can't even really hate, like, you know, at least you shouldn't. If someone cooks that hard, they deserve to be recognized, and damn did they cook. I just realized I'm scrolling on a full screen. I'm a streamer, by the way. I do this regularly. Jesus. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Y'all have seen my card. Y'all have seen my votes. If not, then I highly encourage you to go check the VOD. Maybe I'll post it on Twitter as well. So if you want to, go ahead and follow me there as well. That would definitely be much appreciated. Also, you can find out there when I am going live. I try usually to tweet out ahead of time so that y'all can be aware. I like I said, will put my card up, and feel free to judge me based on that. I can take it. But yeah, all right. Anyways, that's it for me. I run a bit late here, and I'm super hungry, so I need to go find some dinner, and eat, and just kind of relax, chill out for the rest of the day. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all again go vote and tune in on the 11th. I think it is. Yep, the 11th for the Game Awards show. That's when that's going to be. And yeah. All right, one more time. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm going to go find dinner. Bye, everyone.